Imagine walking through the sun-drenched streets of Vaucluse or Mosman. The harbour breeze carries the scent of salt and jasmine, while the water glitters like a field of diamonds. You pass towering sandstone walls and gates that shield some of the most expensive real estate on the planet. These are the golden postcodes where a single driveway can hold more value than a fleet of luxury cars. Yet, as you stroll along these pristine avenues, you notice something deeply unsettling. There are no bold for sale signs, no colourful flags signal a high-stakes weekend auction. There are no crowds of buyers clutching floor plans on the sidewalk. To a casual observer, these neighbourhoods appear dormant, frozen in a state of established ownership. But behind those silent gates, a frantic and invisible dance is occurring. Millions of dollars are shifting across digital ledgers, and some of the nation's most iconic homes are changing hands, without the general public ever realising a deal was even on the table. This is the world of ghost sales. In Sydney, a city often celebrated as the auction capital of the world, where the Saturday morning bidding war is a blood sport, there exists a secondary, silent layer of the property market. These are off-market transactions, properties bought and sold entirely within the shadows. They never grace the search results of platforms like Domain or realestate.com.au. They are never featured in the glossy weekend lift-outs of newspapers, and they never endure the scrutiny of a public open house. For the average buyer, these homes effectively do not exist until months after the settlement. When the data finally trickles through to the public record, it is a massive shadow market that dictates the true luxury value of Sydney's premium land, yet it remains invisible to the uninitiated. When we examine the data, the statistical gap is staggering. A massive percentage of Sydney's most prestigious real estate is now traded through these private restricted channels. While the nightly news cycles focus on weekend clearance rates and median price fluctuations in middle ring suburbs, the elite end of the market is operating on an entirely different frequency. This creates a profound information asymmetry, where a small group of insiders holds the keys to the kingdom while the rest of the public is left guessing. The allure of secrecy in these transactions is a calculated strategy. For high net worth individuals, the traditional real estate circus is something to be avoided at all costs. They prioritize absolute privacy over the chaotic potential of a public bidding war. They have no desire to see their private floor plans or the details of their interior design splashed across the internet for anyone to critique. They seek a controlled exchange where the gatekeepers, the elite real estate agents with exclusive black books, act as the ultimate filters for who gets to enter the room. This preference for silence creates a significant distortion in our understanding of market transparency. If the most significant and trend-setting sales are not being reported in real time, the public's perception of market health is inherently flawed. We are essentially looking at a puzzle with the most valuable pieces missing. But why does this matter for the average investor? Understanding ghost sales is not merely about voyeurism into the lives of the wealthy, it is about recognizing the hidden mechanisms of wealth and property. This hidden layer represents a strategic opportunity for those who understand how to navigate it. Throughout this series, we are going to explore why these sales happen, how they impact the Australian economy, and most importantly, the specific strategies used by professional buyers agents and savvy investors to profit from these hidden opportunities. We will uncover how to bridge the gap between being an outsider looking at a closed gate and being the professional who knows what is happening behind it and uncovering the truth of the market. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. To understand how we arrived at this era of invisible transactions, we have to look back at the transformation of the Sydney real estate landscape. For decades, Sydney prided itself on being the undisputed auction capital of the world. The image of a crowd gathered on a leafy street watching a high-stakes battle of nerves and bank accounts became a symbol of the city's economic vitality. However, as the luxury sector matured and prices reached astronomical heights, a counterculture of discretion began to emerge. The elite realized that the transparency of an auction, while effective for a standard home, was often counterproductive for a multi-million-dollar estate. They sought a way to transact that mirrored private equity deals rather than the loud public theater of the suburban street corner. This evolution reflects a growing desire for financial privacy among the ultra-wealthy. Central to this shift is the psychological weight of the days on market metric. In a standard cycle, a property's visibility is a double-edged sword. Every day a home remains listed on a public portal, its perceived value begins to erode. If a mansion doesn't sell within the first few weeks, the narrative quickly shifts from exclusive opportunity to problematic asset. This stigma is a powerful motivator for the ghost sale. By keeping the property off the public record, the seller retains the upper hand. They can quietly test the market, adjust price expectations, or even withdraw the property without ever suffering the public humiliation of a failed auction campaign. It allows for price exploration that the public market simply cannot provide. This secret ecosystem is maintained by the gatekeepers. These elite real estate agents spend years cultivating relationships with the city's wealthiest families. Their value lies in the exclusivity of their private black books. They hold pocket listings, homes that aren't for sale but are available for the right price. To gain access to these shadows, the savvy investor knows they must engage with a professional buyer's agent. These representatives have the connections to knock on these metaphorical doors. Information is the most valuable currency here. These buyer's agents act as the bridge, negotiating in private and ensuring that high net worth individuals on both sides of the deal can transact with complete anonymity. Without these intermediaries, the ghost market would cease to function. They are the glue holding the hidden economy together. The consequence of this secrecy is market distortion. When expensive homes change hands behind closed doors, the public price discovery mechanism is broken. Traditionally, a sale sets the benchmark for the next, but in ghost sales, these benchmarks remain hidden. This creates an information gap where insiders capitalize on knowledge while the average buyer is left working with incomplete data. This distortion is further exacerbated by the data lag inherent in the government system. When a silent sale is finalized, it doesn't appear on land registries immediately. There is often a delay of 3 to 6 months before the price becomes public knowledge. By then, the market may have already moved, leaving the public perpetually one step behind the reality of the elite tiers. Consider the record-breaking transactions in harbourside suburbs that only came to light long after the new owners had already moved in. There have been instances where mansions were sold for tens of millions of dollars, yet the neighbouring residents, people living just a few metres away, had no idea a transaction had even occurred until they saw a different car in the driveway or subtle renovations beginning. These silent records illustrate the scale of the shadow market. It represents a shift in how we perceive property ownership in Sydney. It is no longer just about who has the money, but who has the information. As we peel back these layers, it becomes clear that the ghost sale is not just a passing trend. It is a sophisticated mechanism used by the elite to maintain control over the city's most valuable assets, ensuring that the true nature of Sydney's wealth remains a private affair. In this shadow world, navigating the market requires a fundamental shift in strategy. For the savvy investor, the journey begins by dismantling the wall of information asymmetry. To access the inaccessible, one must move beyond the digital storefronts of major property portals and enter the realm of warm-lead networking. This isn't just about knowing an agent. It's about becoming a known quantity within the inner circles of the elite. Here, the pocket listing is king. These are properties that elite real estate agents hold in reserve, waiting for the perfect match without ever printing a brochure. Accessing these requires a level of persistence and professional etiquette that most casual buyers lack. This is where the buyer's agent advantage becomes undeniable. In Sydney's high-stakes environment, professional representation is often the only ticket into the room where ghost sales are negotiated. These agents are the ones receiving the midnight phone calls from gatekeepers who have a seller needing a quick, quiet exit. They provide the bridge that allows a savvy investor to cross from the public sidewalk into the private courtyard of opportunity. Without this representation, most individuals are left waiting for a notification on their phone that will never arrive, as the best deals are swallowed up before they can even be indexed by a search engine. Beyond networking, there is a more analytical way to profit from this hidden tier. It involves leveraging information asymmetry by looking where others are too busy to glance. Savvy investors often scan council records and development application registries to identify homeowners who may be overcapitalizing or facing delays that lead to financial pressure. Furthermore, monitoring probate leads through legal notices provides a window into properties that must be sold, often quietly, to settle estates. By identifying these distressed or transitioning assets before they hit the open market, an investor can initiate a conversation before the gatekeepers even have a chance to secure the listing. It turns the search from a passive experience into an active hunt for value. However, the shadow market is not without its perils. The intellectual trade-off is significant. Buying quietly often means facing significantly less competition, which can lead to a better purchase price, but it demands a much higher level of due diligence. Without the public bidding of an auction to validate the price, the burden of valuation falls entirely on the buyer. You are flying blind unless you possess a deep understanding of historical data and local trends. The risk of overpaying is high when there are no other bidders to act as a reality check, making expert valuation skills the most critical tool in the savvy investor's arsenal. One must be prepared to walk away from a silent deal if the numbers don't align, regardless of how exclusive the opportunity feels. Looking toward the future of ownership in Sydney, we must ask if the democratization of data will ever truly shine a light on these elite transactions. While technology is making land registries more accessible and real-time data more common, the core desire for privacy among high net worth individuals remains unchanged. Secrecy is a luxury in itself, and as long as there are those willing to pay a premium for discretion, the ghost market will continue to thrive in parallel with the public one. The tension between public transparency and private interest will likely define the next decade of Sydney's urban evolution. As data becomes more ubiquitous, the truly elite will likely retreat even further into the shadows to protect their domestic sanctuaries. In conclusion, the next time you see a sold sticker appear on a gate that never had a for sale sign, I realize that you aren't just seeing a transaction, you are seeing the result of a complex, invisible dance. To profit in this environment, you must look beyond what is presented to the masses. Research the sold history in your own suburb, look for the patterns of these silent exchanges, and start building the relationships that turn a ghost listing into your next great investment. The market is only invisible if you don't know where to look. Your role is no longer that of a spectator at an auction, but a participant in a hidden economy where information is the ultimate key to unprecedented generational wealth and legacy.